All right. Okay.
Just give her a straw so she doesn't break that glass. What's up guys, this is Alan again, back with another video. And today we're going to check out this video that was recommended to me. It's called Why This Cocktail Costs $5,000. So we're going to check out this video and see why this drink costs $5,000 and I'll assess if it's worth it or not. But before we start, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let's go check this thing out.
I am at the Baccarat Hotel in New York City. Yes, that's Baccarat as in the luxury French crystal brand. So everything from the hotel to the bar is decked out in crystals.
Wow, it's pretty swanky over here. Impressive looking bar as well.
But the pièce de résistance is a $5,000 cocktail served in Baccarat crystal. I'm here today to find out why this cocktail warrants this enormous price tag.
I created this cocktail. It was inspired by the Tsar glass. And it was named after the last Tsar of Russia. So when I heard last Tsar, I thought of a last word cocktail to do a class.
Oh, classic drink. So last word is actually one of my favorite classic cocktails. It's gonna be made from gin, green chartreuse, Luxardo maraschino liqueur, and lime.
Antoine, it's wonderful to meet you.
Hello,
Thank you so much for
pleasure.
having us here today.
Of course.
I'm wondering right off the bat, what makes this drink so special?
So what makes this drink so special, first of all, is the glass.
Okay.
So you get a $3,600 glass takeaway.
It comes with a glass, so it's $5,000, but you get to keep the glass, which is, what do you say, $3,600? So yeah, the cocktail only costs $1,400. I mean, that's still pretty expensive, obviously. So let's also see what other ingredients justifies this $1,400 price.
So this drink, the glass is $3,600.
Yes.
And that's starting to make more sense to me why the drink itself is $5,000, but you're still drinking $1,400. So you...
Yeah, that's still a lot of money. I've seen a lot of expensive whiskeys. I've never seen anything that costs that much as well. So I can only imagine what they used in this cocktail that costs so much.
So what we're about to see in the $5,000 cocktail is a very rare chartreuse.
Oh, chartreuse. Oh. I actually worked in a bar with a collection of very rare vintage chartreuse as well. Some of them actually dated way back to the 1800s. In that bar, we also had vintage Fernets. We also had vintage Pims. So it wasn't just chartreuse, but the chartreuse was definitely the one that caught everyone's eye because there's like a lot of hardcore chartreuse fans that, you know, they travel all around the world looking for these rare and old chartreuses. So I guess this is one of them, and I mean, I can see why this drink would cost so much. $1,400 is a lot. Like the most expensive chartreuse that we had, I think, was probably like $400 or something. And granted, we never really recommend making cocktails with stuff that old. It's generally you get, you know, you want to taste it by itself. Because if you mix it in a cocktail, sometimes it could get lost with the other ingredients.
We've acquired that you won't see anywhere else. We've tried, we've looked for it, but we've only found one bottle of this particular age.
So as far as you're concerned...
I wonder what's so special about this green chartreuse. Like, I've seen a lot of green chartreuses that are very rare, but I haven't seen one that, you know, a taste would cost $1,400 or anything close to that. You know, this is a cocktail, but yeah, that's like a lot.
And here you are the sole owners of this year of chartreuse. This is the one bottle available in the world as far as you can find.
Yes.
And you're letting me have some.
Yes.
Yikes.
I know, I'm wondering if she ever had green chartreuse before, because when you drink rare stuff like this, you don't want to just drink the super expensive stuff as your first experience with it. You want to have some kind of reference so you can make comparison. Oh, this is the regular green chartreuse, and this is the one that's $1,400. Otherwise, it just tastes like the same thing.
What makes this year of this chartreuse so special?
It is a last word cocktail, and this chartreuse is from the same era when this classic last word cocktail was invented.
Wow. That's interesting. I never even... So this bottle is actually made when the last word cocktail was just being invented. That's kind of cool, actually.
This is a 100-year-old bottle of alcohol.
Yes.
And it holds up. The recipe for chartreuse originated 500 years ago in 1605, When a monastery in France
Yeah, if you look at the bottle, there's a 1605 written on the label itself.
received an alchemist's manuscript for a mysterious elixir. The recipe called for a blend of 130 different herbs that would form a perfect tonic.
Yeah, to this day, there's only a few people who actually know what these exact herbs and botanicals are. It's a well-kept secret among the monks.
Over the years, they adapted what was known as the elixir of long life into what we know as green chartreuse. To this day, the precious recipe is known only by 2 monks who oversee the distillery and use
Yeah, rumor has it that they are never in the same room, because if something happens to both of them, then the recipe is forgotten forever.
its profits to continue the work of their monastery.
In 1901, the monks who make Chartreuse were actually ousted out of France, and they had to make their Chartreuse in Spain.
Yeah, this is like a temporary... this happens all the time. It also happened with the Luxardo distillery as well, where they had to move production because of... I think it might have been like World War I or World War II or something like that. But yeah, distilleries sometimes have to escape during the wartime and has to do production somewhere else. And sometimes they move back to the original site, and sometimes they don't.
Which makes it even more rare.
It's exile chartreuse.
Exile Chartreuse, that's funny.
The monks are all about sharing, so with the philosophy that we have, we wanted to crack open the bottle and make a cocktail, so we'll be able to share it with everyone.
So you're not just keeping it on a shelf,
Yeah.
you know? We're actually
We
enjoying
want people
it.
to enjoy it.
Yeah, I hate it when bars pile their collection with all this expensive stuff that's never meant to be consumed. It's like, look at this Pappy 25-year, look at this Yamazaki 25, Yamazaki 50. Oh, great, it costs like $6,000. Like, nobody can afford it. So it's like, what's the point of displaying it if you're not going to let us taste it? It's cool to have a rare whiskey or, liqueur every now and then, but if your whole bar, like if the majority of your bar consists of things that aren't even meant for the customers to buy, if I wanted to look at a bottle of Yamazaki 25, I could just go on Google, look it up. There's definitely a coolness to seeing things like that in person, but even like expensive stuff like that should be somewhat accessible. I mean, yeah, $1,400 is still a lot of money to taste some chartreuse, but at least it's somewhat accessible to like split within a group of people.
How strong is this alcohol?
It's strong, but you'll get a...
Yeah, the current chartreuse is 55%, so 110 proof. This is like flammable stuff. And the older chartreuse have been even higher, up to 65% alcohol.
sweetness to counteract that as well.
But like, if you drink a lot of it, like, how strong is it? You know what I mean?
You'll get really, 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 really wasted. Like, green chartreuse is deceptive. It does not taste as hot as it actually is. Because of the sugar, it is thick. So when you drink it, it doesn't taste like it has that much alcohol, but it's incredibly high. I mean, 55% alcohol is higher than some cask strength whiskeys.
You'll feel it.
It's like a good time.
Yeah, you'll feel it.
The price for 1 ounce would be $1,000, $150.
Yeah, that is a lot. Like I said, the place I worked at, 1 ounce. Most expensive chartreuse that we had, like $400 for an ounce.
L'Imperial cocktail contains 1 whole ounce of the 1920s chartreuse. This vintage of chartreuse is so rare that once the bottle is gone, it's gone for good. Amazingly, I had the opportunity.
That's crazy because like the place I worked at definitely had chartreuse older than that. We had ours, I think we had some from the late 1880s. So even though it is older than this one, what makes this one special is this is apparently bottled the same year as when the Last Word cocktail was invented.
Opportunity to try a small taste of the spirit right from the bottle.
100 years of history.
So you notice that the green chartreuse over here is brown. Green chartreuse is actually one of the few liqueurs or anything that actually ages in the bottle. A lot of things that do contain botanicals, such as gin and some liqueurs, they're pretty much shelf stable. But green chartreuse has a lot of herbs and botanicals, which also gives it that green color that's also known as chartreuse. But these are plant compounds, and over time they will change color. I've had some old vintage chartreuse too. I would say that the flavor changes from bright, fresh, alpine mountain herbs to more like dried herbs flavor. So it goes from like a fresh cut grass flavor to more like tea. And it was very hard to explain without actually tasting it, but that's what I got. That's the impression I got when I tasted like very old Chartreuse.
Preserved in this glass.
I would give it a swirl, give it a sniff. I put it in the snifter just so you can kind of smell it first to get yourself.
Okay, so like I said before, like green Chartreuse is very high in alcohol. When you nose liquor in general, like spirits, you want to inhale through the mouth as well, not just the nose. Otherwise, that ethanol just rushes up into your nasal cavity and just shuts everything down, and all you smell is alcohol. This is very high proof, considering that this old is probably going to be even higher than the current 55% of today's bottlings. So yeah, that definitely you definitely want to nose that while inhaling through the mouth as well, just to dilute it a bit so it doesn't overwhelm your senses.
Ready? Because it's intense.
It's a powerful smell.
You're gonna get a strong sense of tarragon, and the savory note, I would lead you to maybe peppercorn. What do you think?
It's delicious.
Yeah, like it surprises a lot of people. Usually people don't like to drink things that are, more than 80 proof. Yes, there are whiskey drinkers who can drink, 80 to 90 proof, maybe 100 proof. But a lot of cocktail drinkers generally don't like to drink things that are especially overproof, like green Chartreuse. And Chartreuse is one of those things that when you give to like most people, they would actually have no idea that it has that much alcohol because it's so smooth. The sugar like helps suppress the heat of the alcohol. And it's surprisingly, even people who don't like to drink high proof spirits, somehow they can still sip on green Chartreuse neat by itself. And yeah, green Chartreuse by itself is really freaking delicious.
The smell was so strong. I was worried that I would be overcome, but it's so easy to drink.
Very easy to drink.
Yes, green Chartreuse in general, not just this vintage, it is deceptive. You do get a lot on the nose, but when you drink it, it is really, really mellow and smooth.
And the sweetness, the bitterness, the aromatics, all of it is like in a nice, warm presentation. So
it's warm. It's very, and when you mentioned baking spices,
yeah, the warmth comes from the alcohol.
The time had come to truly see what goes into this extravagant drink. In addition to the 100-year-old Chartreuse, the L'Imperial is made with top-shelf gin, cherry oak-aged maraschino.
Yeah, that's the Nolet Reserve. That goes around, I've seen it go as high as $650 a bottle.
Liqueur, lime juice, and of course, a golden cherry on top. My version of the cocktail included an ounce of Baccarat's standard issue Chartreuse. Antoine assured me that this would be
So that's a VEP Chartreuse. This is a barrel-aged green Chartreuse.
From the 100-year-old bottle was better off preserved for true connoisseurs.
What causes it to be frothy like that? Did he put egg whites or xanthan gum, or looks like there has to be some kind of foaming agent as well?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that looks like, yeah, that's just way too frothy for just a standard shake and drink. There has to be some kind of like frothing agent.
I would definitely use both hands if you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very
Yeah, you don't want to break that. That thing is more than the price of the drink.
nervous to pick this up. And I was thinking, okay, how can a glass look like $3,600? And then you put this in front of me, and it's all become, no pun intended, but very crystal clear. What should I be tasting in this cocktail?
So you're gonna taste a little bit of the baking spice that you have. The gin adds a little bit of aromatics as well.
All these ingredients are used to really boost up the Chartreuse.
Yeah, I'm interested on how that gin works with that Chartreuse, because the gin itself, it's recommended to be drank like a whiskey neat, and maybe some spirit forward cocktails, like a martini with a twist. But yeah, I'm interested, like, especially this is a shaken cocktail with lime juice, on how the botanicals from the Nolet will work with the vintage Chartreuse.
All right. Okay.
Just give her a straw so she doesn't break that glass.
Yes. Woo. It's wonderful.
What do you think?
It's delicious. Yeah, it's all.
I mean, last words are already pretty delicious. I'm very curious on what this is actually going to taste like. Of course, I had to find all those ingredients first.
All the flavors of the Chartreuse, but it just feels more fun to me.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I
not
mean?
as constricting and heavy. It's actually brings it out. It's like
Yeah, Chartreuse, yeah, earlier I said that Chartreuse you can drink neat, but it is pretty intense. Even though it's very smooth, you get all these botanicals and aromatics just going on in your mouth and the vapors and everything. It's still, I'm not going to downplay it. It is more smooth than what you would expect, but it's still a pretty intense liqueur. So yeah, I can see how, shaking this with some juice, some maraschino liqueur and the gin helps open up a lot of these flavors that might have gotten lost when you drink it neat.
And $1,150 for an ounce of 100-year-old green chartreuse.
I mean, that's a lot. Like I said, I worked in places where we had older chartreuse than that didn't cost as much.
Leaving $250 for other top-shelf ingredients and expert craftsmanship.
The gin is $650, so I don't see how an ounce of that would cost that much. And the gold cherry, the gold doesn't cost that much unless it's some special one that I've never seen. But usually these gold flakes, they're not that expensive. And the saffron itself is also, saffron is expensive, but I don't think one thing of saffron is going to cost that much. So I think that most of that price is probably going to be from the gin.
A grand total of $5,000 for a bargoer's ultimate cocktail splurge.
I felt it was a fun experience to eat it.
you have gold in your teeth.
Well, that was pretty interesting. So I'm curious to know, what's the most expensive cocktail that you guys have tried, and was it worth it? Please leave it on the comments below. And once again, if you enjoy content like this, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next one.